Welcome, guys, back to the Grateful Living podcast. Today, I'm thankful to have DJ Maverik with me today. Maverik is a DJ, an entrepreneur, and a radio personality on Jammin' 94.5. Maverik, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, so glad to be here, man. Thank you. I'm grateful to be a part of this.
Of course, thankful to have you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Set the scene for all the listeners that don't know you. Take us back to the beginning,
hmm
where you grew up, your family situation, the type of kid you were, things like that.
yeah. Well, if we're going all the way back there,
Let's go.
I was a relatively quiet kid, um, mild mannered, but I was so born here in Boston to two Jamaican immigrant parents. So I think that kind of sets the scene for a lot of the way that I grew up. It's different just having West Indian parents. I feel like there's an emphasis, very strong emphasis on education. So yeah, you had to bring the grades home at all times. That was stressed on a daily basis. Is like get good grades, so that kind of laid the foundation for me being a good student. um let's see, I don't know, I was a pretty smart kid, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we did, like, I don't think I saw anything less than a B, like, for the majority of, like, middle school throughout, like, high school. High school, yeah, there was a little iffy. Maybe two C's in high school,
Okay.
but other than that, yeah, I was pretty good at the school thing. But um, let's see, I was very active, like, athletically, in student government. Um, let's see, I did the school play, so trying to just do a little bit of everything. But I wanted to be well rounded, and I think that contributed to the kind of grown up that I turned into. Um, I think coming to BC was an eye opener. Usually, you're forced to grow up with kids that are, just you have something in common with, just because you live in the same neighborhood or whatever. BC just kind of opened my eyes to, like, I had friends from Hawaii, friends
Yeah.
from, different countries, and that was super cool for me to, um, just to interact with those different kids, even like go to some of their houses and like visit. It
Yeah.
was that was one thing that I'm very, very thankful to BC for.
Yeah.
Um, I did the radio station in BC,
Wait,
WZ.
before you get into BC, I just want to ask. So, given what you do, as a DJ and now, as an entrepreneur, I'm curious because it's funny. I feel like, while this isn't the standard, a lot of entrepreneurs don't do well in school, because they don't like the structure of,
Yeah,
because they see they're the
yeah.
misfit. They see the solutions that need to be created. So, um, you know, because you were also doing institutionally well, I'm curious, were you introduced to entrepreneurship at a young age or DJing, or, I mean, when did these things come to you, become part of your life?
That's why I said it was very, very different growing up in like a West Indian household, because all these things are happening simultaneously. Like, you have to come home and do your homework, but there's reggae music playing in the background.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and that's very, like, deep. Like, music is it in Jamaican culture. Like, I remember going to Jamaica and just seeing, like, the speakers are faced out to the street, and that's in front of, like, the house, so, like, there's loud music at all hours, and it's everything, and it's not just reggae. Like, there was, like, my grandfather would listen to, like, country. It was like, there's 80s music, there was, soft rock. But yeah, so that all that is, kind of shaping and influencing my musical taste, and, kind of, um, setting the tone for the way that I DJ as well. Because I feel like to be a good DJ, you kind of have to be a sociologist. Um, just knowing people and what they're gonna react to, how,
Yeah.
if one song is gonna, make them feel good, how's this song gonna make them feel, and getting a reaction based off of that. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Also, it was definitely a juxtaposition of like, uh, I don't know, but stability is so important. I feel like, especially as a black man, there's so much uncertainty. I feel like I kind of at times have had to like stifle that, like, let me go try this, just random thing, as opposed to like, hey man, you gotta keep the lights on, So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I
Yeah.
think it's a balance, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also curious. I don't have a lot of guests who talk about openly just loving that they were smart and that they worked hard and did good in school. I'm curious, did anyone ever, make fun of you for being a nerd, or like how did you handle, obviously I'm sure your friends and peers were aware that, I mean,
Mhm.
you were doing well in school.
Yeah, you know what? It was funny because I wouldn't classify myself as a nerd because I was also good at sports. So that kind of I had friends from all the cliques or genres in high school. So I was never like bullied, or like I never felt that. You know, it was fun. It was my high school experience. People like hate high school. I loved high school. I had a pretty dope experience. Like I said, I had friends from the football team, from the basketball team, and like then I could, go hang out with my friends who played, what was it at the time? Like Magic the Gathering. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you remember, like, did you see it, like, go to some party and see a DJ in high school, or like when did the interest
Mm.
start?
Oof. Just young, like super young. My mom says she remembers me like walking up to a big speaker that we had in the house when I was 2, and like bouncing anytime I heard Marvin Gaye. So like I don't remember that, but she does clearly,
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I was very influenced by like 88.9 at night, because so like you go to school all day, and then at night, you I don't know, like for whatever, you have basketball practice or whatever in high school, and then after that you come home and do your homework, and then what am I listening to? It's like 88.9 at night. That was kind of what set the standard for like hip hop, and hip hop was another huge influence obviously on my life. Just you know listening to it, like just hearing the storytelling, and the way people were able to like weave words together. That's like it's poetry. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So as you said, senior year you decided to choose Boston College. I'm curious, what went into that decision. Were you close to any other schools, or?
Oof. I think a lot of it depended on like financial,
Yeah.
financial aid, because it was just me and my mom, at the time, and it was like, shoot, we gotta figure something else, or else I'm going to the army, like.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I applied to a lot of schools. I think I applied to like 20 schools. I think I got into 16.
Yeah.
Um, and no thanks to my guidance counselor, by the way, not to throw them under the bus, but they completely had the game wrong. Like they had no clue like what to do with me. They were like, just schools that were like, I don't know, just random, like not, I don't know. I didn't see myself like going to these schools. I never even heard of some of these schools, and those were like their top ideas. I was like, no, dude, I'm going to a good school. I promise you. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think it's the time has passed, but I just remembered like feeling so like upset at the time. You're like, you don't think I can get into that school? Are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
they don't know everything.
no, no. So yeah, the decision ended up between, it was going to be either like UMass, because that's, in-state school,
Yep.
or going to Syracuse, and their financial aid wasn't like as lit
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
as
yeah,
BC's was.
yeah.
And um yeah, and then I remember, this is a story I don't think I've ever told anybody. I remember like I got into BC, and this kid who I was really good friends with was like, he looked at me and he was like, oh my God, that's my dream school. He was dead serious too. And he was like, that's my dream school. Like, if I could get into BC, bro, like, blah, blah, blah. And so that kind of like changed my perception of BC, I think, at the time. Because I didn't know everything about it. I just knew that it was top 40. I knew that that was one thing. I knew that I wanted to go to a top 40 school. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, you talked a little bit about it at the beginning, but just talk to us about your college experience and what you take out from it.
Man, I started actually bio pre-med. So yeah, that was a switch up. Um, but once again, the the West Indian parent influence, bro. Like, I feel like coming to this country, it's like they only are privy to success by certain standards, right? So, if you're a smart kid, you become a doctor or a lawyer, or an engineer, right? So that's kind of the base that my mom is looking at. That's the lens that my mom is looking at it through. Meanwhile, I get to college, and like, first semester I'm there, and I'm like, yeah, this is like, it's cool and all. I can do this, but do I want to do this,
Mm, mm,
for the rest of my life?
yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of where Khalil like came into his own, was just making those decisions. I remember I like sat my mom down like sophomore year. Yeah, it was like the beginning of sophomore year, and I was like, Mom, I think I'm gonna go undeclared and like, switch my major at some point. Just because like the coursework wasn't, I wasn't excited. And I feel like, for me, I'm a very passion based person. And, for you to get the best version of me, I have to feel passionate about what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think the switch to a comm major came immediately, but I took a few courses and I was like, yeah, like this is it. This is
Yeah.
what, this is where I feel like my talents lie.
Yeah. So, did you go to radio right after BC? Or
Yeah,
what was okay, so how did you get that? Were you doing internships in the summer, or how did you get that going?
right, right. So I took another important piece of the puzzle is that sophomore year, that summer I moved to Brooklyn, and I didn't have any, like, this is somebody who was born and raised in Boston who never really went outside of Boston that much. But yeah, that summer, like, I was determined to like go somewhere else and do something different, because I'd been like a camp counselor for every summer of
Yeah.
my life up until then. Um, so yeah, I went out to Brooklyn. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. I just like was like, dude, I'm gonna do something different this summer. So I went out there. Eventually, got this job working at this sneaker store called Dr. J's. And after that, like one day I was working there, and I saw on a newspaper an ad that this newspaper was looking for interns. So I got that internship, and it was working for the first ever hip hop newspaper. And it was based in Brooklyn, and it was even closer to where I was staying. I was actually staying in one of my college classmates at BC's like basement, like in her
Yeah.
mom's basement. Yeah, it was sick. That was like such a fun summer, free summer, like.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then when I came back from Brooklyn, I was like, oh, bro, this is I'm going off right now. Like I can do anything just because like, as what was I don't know, 17, 18, I just went out on my own. And, I think that just definitely instilled the confidence in me that like, I got this, like, I'm going to succeed no matter what I do. And then I came back to BC. I started like a band, like I joined the step team, and then I joined the radio station, and then the next summer after that, that's when I got my internship at Jam 94.5.
Nice, nice. I'm curious because obviously, it's not the traditional career path, to go to radio after graduating from school. How were you? Did you just feel like you saw, there was a lot that you could grow with if you joined? I mean, radio, or I mean, what was your thought process with that?
Huh. I thought, I think there's like just being a musical person, radio's kind of, one of those things that's a staple. And I thought like being a DJ was, especially in Boston, it's a position of esteem. People like around here, they like look up to the DJs. They want to be the DJs. And I was that kid, like, listening to Ramiro and Pebbles. And now I'm working with these guys. Like,
Yeah.
of course, there was no trepidation. I was all in.
Yeah. Were you what did you start off as, like, just you had a couple hours, or how was it in
I
the
was
beginning?
I was literally the Ramiro and Pebbles like intern.
Okay.
So I would have to wake up. I would come in from parties sometimes at BC at like 3 a.m., turn around and be at the studio for 5 a.m.
Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah, it was it was a lot. But funny thing is, so at the time I had a Firebird. That was my first car, my baby. I love that car. And so that was like my means of transportation back and forth between my internship and BC.
Yeah.
And so the project that I'm coming out with is called the Firebird Chronicles. So
Oh,
it kind of
yeah, 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 yeah.
ties it all in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I guess, so a lot of people every year join radio, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, can you just talk about your process and how you found success, and maybe some advice for anybody out there that's,
Yeah.
joining, at an entry level position in radio
Yeah.
today?
Um, I don't even know if you, wow. And this is going to sound weird. I don't know if you want to be starting your radio journey today. Just because it's different. The landscape is different. There's not, people in every slot now. There was a time, and I was alive for this, where there would be somebody live in the station around the clock. I am now. It's not that. There's a morning show, maybe, and maybe a couple other people like middays. I mean, I've done middays, I've done nights, I've even done the morning show at times. But nowadays there's not that much opportunity because there's a lot of like syndicated shows, like smaller market um cities. They have like, yeah, they'll like import what's his name, Ryan Seacrest, rather than paying somebody, some homegrown talent to like, do that show. So that's one of the ways that it's changed. I don't know that it's for the better. I feel like local stuff usually wins, like in terms of just feeling like you're part of the community. That's one thing that I'm not the biggest fan of in radio right now. But um there's other ways, there's other like means, like podcasts. I think that's huge right now.
Yep.
And I think there's room for like that community. There's also like so much there's so many technological advances right now, even with the streaming company that I have. Like I'm starting a show, like a straight up variety show, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't, radio isn't the only way to be a voice now, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I guess just for you, I mean, how did you for you, I get, obviously it was a different time, but for you going from an intern, you know, to being an actual radio personality on Jammin' 94.5,
Mhm.
whether was it just a lot of hard work, or like what was the key to, because a lot of people have those dreams, right? A
Gotcha.
lot of people want to be the Breakfast Club and things
Mhm.
like that. What
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
your process from intern to radio personality?
Sure. That was one thing that I'm glad you pointed that out, because I made it a point to like outwork any other intern that was like doing what I was doing. I wanted to, you know, be the first person in, the last person to leave, you know? And, in radio, I think that's just being willing to do whatever it takes. Like some of the earliest tasks that I remember being given was to, um, they had The Rock coming in for an interview. And it was last minute. Their publicist just hit them up last minute and they were like, we don't know what's going on. So I was tasked with kind of frantically, going online and just like looking up questions that they could ask, The Rock at the time. And you know, that was my my responsibility for the day. And it was just like, man, I came through. I really came through for them. And, they literally asked the questions that I just, you know, came up with to, one of the biggest superstars at the time. Um, and so I think once, they saw that, I could handle that level of responsibility, they give you more. And, I ended up doing commercials, a lot of commercials for the station. And so you'd be hearing my voice on commercials. And like, at the time, my friends would be like, hey, was that you? And I was like, yeah, it actually was. But radio was a lot like more of a thing then, I feel
Yeah.
like, and like, so everybody was listening to jamming. So it was like, it was a big deal. And then I made a couple like jingles that, the station is like putting in rotation. They're like being played like on the radio. And it's like my song. Um, so that was cool. And then a lot of that had to do with like the Red Sox and the Patriots winning,
Yeah. Yeah.
that, that whole 20-year run. Like I had, songs like in rotation, like on the station. And it was like, it was a great time. It was a great feeling to be woven into the fabric of Boston culture and sports and music. So, yeah, that's kind of how I grew with it. I think their boss heard me on a commercial and was like, "Who's that kid?" And they were like, "Oh, that's our intern Khalil." And so, he called me into his office and was like, "Hey, what would you think about doing a show?" And I was in college at the time, so and I didn't, I didn't have any other offers. I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So yeah, I legit started the September after I graduated.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the key to a good playlist?
Mm. Um, man, you got it. I like so my DJing style. I like to take people on a journey, right? Like it ebbs and flows, and there's it kind of tells a story. So, you don't want to start off with like something that's going to make your ears bleed, but, ease into it. Like, play something that, is like steady and solid that's going to get you going. But, I'll also, you got to ramp up, so you don't want to play your absolute everything favorite song first.
True,
You got
true.
to work up to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I operate with it.
Yeah. I guess, obviously you've grown your name quite a bit, not only in Boston but nationally. Um, you've I saw you've opened up for Lil Wayne, Future, Two Chainz, Sean Paul, so many different guys
Yeah.
and girls. But, you know, how did you get to that level? What was how was it, you know building relationships, or what was, because that's a lot of trust that someone puts in to,
Sure.
have this person open up for me, and they don't want the show to start off,
Yeah.
terribly.
Yeah. I have relationships with a lot of the tastemakers in Boston, right? So like, the people who are like putting on the shows, and um that, translates to having relationships with, people's publicists and their, like the people who are booking the shows in Boston. So usually, if somebody's coming to the city and they like, they want to be in touch um what with that cool crowd, that's my crowd. Those are like, the people that um are doing things, or like, in the music scene per se. So like those, yeah, those calls are made, and then usually we just like work something out that's mutually beneficial, for everybody, and then yeah, just take it from there. Usually, like say opening for uh like French Montana, when I did that show, it was like this place out in Lawrence. The place was like ram-packed, line around the block, but that only happens because you're able to talk to, you're able to put it up on your social media, you're able to, at the time, talk to the people over the airwaves, get them interested, um, and work it out for, and make sure that it's something that people are interested in seeing. You don't want to book a show that's going to flop. That's, yeah,
Yeah.
not, yeah.
I'm curious, how do you build authentic relationships in this type of business? Because obviously,
Mm,
so much of it is, hitting up, whether it's the publicist or the artist itself themselves, or, and there's an aspect of, they know that, you want your, you want the fame, you want the check or whatever, but there's also, you might actually build, friendships with these people. Like, how have you balanced that?
yeah, that's a great question. I think so. The best way I can say it is, networking is like, there's a reason why the word work is in networking, right? So it's staying in touch, man. It's like making sure people don't forget about you, because you got to understand, like, artists are going all over the world. They're going to, Dubai, but and I think longevity also has something to do with it, because they know, when they come back to Boston, they're gonna see me, and like, it's gonna be like the last time we met. It's gonna be good vibes. They're gonna, um, they're gonna have fun, and feel like, um, they're they're in touch with the Boston community. So that that all helps. But yeah, definitely don't be afraid to reach out to people. I find that, like, I think that sometimes you think like, oh man, let me not hit this person up, because just whatever you're feeling or thinking at the time, like, dude, there's only two answers. They can say yes or no. If you're asking for something, and you can't be afraid of hearing no. Like, I think that was like early on. That was the thing for me. It was like, kind of being young and like scared of rejection, like for like just asking about stuff. But like now, it's I'll let it fly, and see. But I think that also comes with experience, and proving yourself too, right? Um, yeah, you have to, if you want, um, if you want somebody to respond to you in a positive way, you have to like kind of give them something to go on. Like,
Yeah.
and usually my track record is pretty good. Everybody knows I'm a solid guy. I'm not like a shady dude or anything like that. So that's worked in my favor too.
Is there a balance between, when you're texting some of these people, between personal and business? Because I think, you know, it can be tough because, you start getting in your head about, am I reaching out because I actually care about them, or am I reaching out to kind of stay in touch and do
Yeah,
my thing? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
tough balance of, and then they're also thinking, oh, is he just kind of hitting me up to,
Mhm.
you know, to just to make it seem like he cares, or does he actually, there's have
I,
you,
I tend to like stay away from that. Like usually when I talk to somebody, there's really, by the time we're finished talking, like there's gonna be a genuine like connection there, and that's what you're building off to, like, for any future interactions. So usually, like if they were to come to my radio show, it's like we're gonna laugh, and like it's not gonna be over as soon as the mic cuts off. Like, you're like, we're gonna be like laughing after that, and just that carries over into like whatever. Hey, what are y'all doing later? Like, I'm DJing here. Come through. Um, but yeah, I think there's uh, definitely an element of like, okay, let's do what we got to do, but let me not waste anybody's time here either. I think it's just knowing people,
yeah,
like once again, just yeah, knowing people, and not asking for, not being that guy that people are like, they see your number and they're like, oh, this dude again. Like, I hate that guy,
yeah,
so I try not to be that guy.
yeah.
Mhm.
Another aspect of, building up your profile as a DJ is actually getting people to come. You know, how did you? Is it just you always put on good music, or I mean, because so many people will say, to a club or a promoter, I'll get 80 people or whatever, and then
Mhm.
10 people show up,
Yeah,
and so that ruins your, relationship with the club if, as a DJ, you don't come through and
yeah,
actually bring in a crowd.
yeah, yeah. No, and I'm not gonna act like it's been all roses the whole way. Like, sometimes it's just like the wrong uh, convergence of things, and for whatever reason, like, party just doesn't work out or live up to your expectations. But for the most part, when things do work out, it's synergy too. Like, you gotta be hitting up like your go-to people that will show up. Like, there's got to be like that crew of people where, like, if they don't show up, you can be upset at them, and like, and you can laugh about it later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
can't believe you didn't come to my birthday, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah, that core group of people around any, I guess, type of entertainer or DJ, whatever, they're so important, because like, even on the those days that you speak of, when it's like it's not like popping or whatever, then those people are there, so they're gonna have a good time regardless, and they're just there for you, and I think that's important, to build your following from that, and then everything else, like, it just comes, because like those that aura that you create with that original crew, it, like, people feel that, and they want to be a part of that, and they tell their friends about that, like, man, bro, I went to Mav's party the other day. I don't know what's going on there, but the vibe was just crazy, and that's something that we naturally gravitate towards, like, that feeling, of just, and the music, the music's got to be right. I think the music contributes a lot to what I do. Um, I've become a music historian. I study it, and
Yeah.
I just I know the parts that are gonna get a good reaction out of people. But it's and that's the other thing about music. It's constantly changing. So, like, I can rock a lot of different crowds, like, but younger, DJs now, who, like, I've seen, they go crazy with their crowd, and it's like, but these are like 16-year-old kids, so I don't even know, like, some of the stuff, like, these are songs that they're probably getting off of, I don't know, whatever website, and it's
Yeah.
like, but they know them. Those
Yeah.
kids know them. You know, hey,
Yeah.
it's in yeah the constant change in terms of music. That's it's crazy, and music is so rapid now. Like,
Yeah.
remember, you have to like wait for a release to come out. Now there's new music every Friday,
Yeah.
multiple releases. Is yeah.
You have to go to Best Buy to buy a CD.
You know, bro,
Yeah.
I used to be a Tower Records rat. So Tower
Yeah.
Records is a spot, like, it's where right on Newbury, on the corner of Newbury and Mass Ave.
Yeah.
And I used to be in the the top floor. Like, that's where the hip hop tapes and CDs were at the time. So I was in there just listening to new music when it came out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what's your feeling on music and hip hop today, and are you excited for the future, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Always, I'm the eternal optimist. I think that there's always going to be, good music. Um, am I one of those, like, you know, the music was like more like better and more substantive back in the day? Of course it was. I think there's room for that still. But it's up to us, the people. We're always like, looking and saying like, oh, they don't want this to happen. It's like, it's us. We are the people who dictate what's cool and what's not. So,
Yeah.
if we collectively decide like, hey, this guy is spitting some facts and we're gonna rock with this dude, that's what has to go on. So I think, yeah, we need to, really think about that and be more like advocate for the artists that we think are dope, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Talk to us about, COVID, and how that's been, obviously, um, I'm sure you're not getting calls for bar mitzvahs or whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever parties, or the of to
But that's like after, like, that's just recently getting back. Like last
yeah.
year was dead, bro.
Yeah.
Like gigs were a no. Yeah, and you didn't even want to be out like gigging. It was just
Yeah.
a weird time. Like, I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because this is like, we're gonna look back on this sometime, and like, this is gonna be in the history books,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
like
Once
it-
in 100 year pandemic. Yeah.
seriously. And man, I'm glad to have made it through. I feel like, well, I mean, even though it's not necessarily over yet, but
Yeah.
like, I'm proud of the fact, that I made it through this, and I still find joy in doing what I do. It's allowed me to be creative and to hustle on a different from a different stance. Like now, like, we've adjusted to the streaming game, and we're, you know um, using technology to our like my company Vinyl. Like, basically,
Yeah.
we stream um, mine and other DJ sets, to venues with limited capacities.
Mm.
So, say you can't have a DJ in your place. Well, actually you can, because we could be up on that screen, and we can there's a ticker, so you can make a request, and it's in real time. Um, we even have like some we have like drink tickets you get and you can pay in cryptocurrency. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm telling you, man, this company Vinyl is the future.
So
So
when did you start that, and you want to talk a little bit more about that?
sure. No, we started, early. I'd say maybe this time or later last year. But it had been like kind of in. So Kyle is the creator, like it's his brainchild, but he brought me on early on because he knows what I do, and like how passionate I am about, music and throwing good events. So yeah, essentially we, started like last year, and we've just been um, working out all the kinks, or potential things that could go wrong, bugs and whatnot in the system. Now we have it down to like a science, excuse me, where like when a venue is ready for us, like we just get the equipment in there, boom, we're setting up a show. Um, we can set that up, relatively quickly, and our engineer guys pretty on point with everything. It's beautiful to watch, actually. The quality, because it's all in like 4K, and it's like
Yeah.
me like up there, in establishment in 4K, that it just looks good, it feels good, and you don't necessarily have to be there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. And then you also have the Mavlife Clothing brand as well.
Yeah,
You want to talk about that?
for sure. So when I started like as an artist, I started off with mm, just doing shows, and having these shirts, these T-shirts that I would bring to the shows to like sell, my
Yeah.
merch, and it kind of grew from there. Because we ended up like selling out the shirts. I was like, man, I gotta get some more shirts. People really like them, but I didn't even like realize at the time that I was, I was graphic designing, like, the complete design of the shirt. Like I did that, like, and for whatever reason, it just, people liked it. So I figured like I owe it to, the people who actually show up for these shows to like do more, and get them better, higher quality stuff. So I started playing around with different designs, and patterns, and different like looks of clothes that I thought would resonate with my fan base. And sure enough, like that, once again, that core group of people, I'm telling you, like, you need that, because they
Yeah.
they encourage you, they show their friends, they make posts without you even asking. Like that's genuine support. And then you need that if you're gonna to get anywhere in any game, but especially in fashion. I think, well, Lord willing, we're going to be a part of a fashion show coming up in April.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, and if we can get get some bodies in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw in your personal life you recently got married,
engaged.
engaged. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that. All the single guys out there. What's the key, and
Oh
how'd
man.
that get going?
Yeah, yeah. No. Well, I met my fiance Sharita at just being out. I think it was actually at a bar somewhere. But what was the name of that place? I used to go there all the time.
Oh, you got to know that, brother.
Yeah, no, no, I know. Oh man, it's not uh the the it's not the greatest bar. Let me not do this. It's right on like Kingston. I can see it right now. The name is just not coming to me. Um man, this is, and when it's gonna come back to me, like as
Like,
soon as this is over.
yep.
Yeah. But no, we'd crossed paths, I think, before, and I just just always, I think we became Facebook friends, and I just saw what she was doing, and I was like, wow, like she's got some things going for herself. Like she looks like um a good quality person. So when I actually saw her out, like I just approached, and you know, the rest is history, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I recently we went to Hawaii for my birthday, and I decided that was the time. Just like I'm ready. I'm glad to be out the game. Like the
Yeah.
game is so trash right now. I'm sorry, man. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
You like, yeah, like single people nowadays. It's like, man, and I'm not doing the apps, bro. I'm
Yeah.
all set with that. But it's like I said, the game has changed in so many different ways, and like
Yeah.
all this catfishing, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's a real thing.
And it's very easy.
Yeah,
It's not that
yeah,
hard. Yeah.
great, great. I'm just glad, I found my person, and we can, be real with one another. And I think, the pandemic definitely allowed for that, allowed for us to like have time to really get to know each other, and to like see each other in all different phases. Fellas, is my one piece of big brother advice.
Yes.
Don't um don't like marry or like get super serious with somebody until you've seen them mad, right?
Yeah.
Because like everybody's, you're the pleasantries are there, and everything is wonderful and fuzzy and new and nice, and there are butterflies and rainbows until something happens, and that person is no longer nice, or
Yeah.
like all the facade is over. So yeah, my advice is definitely, see each other for all that you are, and
Yeah.
if that's something that you can deal with, it might be something that you can move forward with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear. We talked about a good amount. Was there? Oh wait, we didn't talk about Firebird Chronicles, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
For sure. No, so basically, like I said, this project that I'm working on, I've done a lot of music videos and songs in the past. If you look up like my song, if you look up Maverik, Maverik, and then Whoa or Issues or Pharrell, these are all like, projects that I've worked on that have, they've been singles and they've been out there, and, people around Boston have, showed a lot of love on. But this whole project that I'm working on, it's kind of all encompassing. Like it has music of every genre that I love, which incorporates hip hop, reggae. There's some dance tracks on there. But yeah, it's a good vibe, a good feel, and it's telling my story, for better or for worse. There's some ugly stuff in there. There's some happy stuff in there too. I'm for the most part, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was just telling the story, and having fun while doing it. People are definitely gonna you're gonna move. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Um, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't?
Hmm. Um. Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys are on subscribe to my YouTube. I have a lot of like cool like stuff on there, songs, and um
What's the channel?
so if you go to YouTube, it's Maverik is the one,
Okay.
but it's spelled, hip hop
Yeah.
is Maverikizthe, and then the number one.
All right.
Yeah. And then the Instagram's Money Mav, MONEYMAV. All right. No spaces, no semicolons, none of that. But yeah, we have fun, man, and we make good music. So
Yeah.
it's all about.
No, that's awesome. Um, Cleo, thank you so much for being on. Just want to acknowledge you. It's cool to see, the whole journey, in terms of, starting from an intern to becoming a, radio personality, and then, opening up for, legends in the rap game. And
Sure.
so, you know, uh thankful to be able to hear from you. And um
Thanks so
yeah,
much
thank
for
you.
having me, bro. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a fun time. Brought me back a little bit. Yeah, I haven't even like thought of some of those scenarios and times that. But yeah, you brought it out of me, man. So shout out to you. You're a solid interviewer. Well,
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Means a
definitely.
lot.
Looking forward to great things from you, my man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Just having fun and doing it on the side, but let's see.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Keep it going. The ones that win, the people who like win, are the ones that never quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep at it, man, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.